Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dinkoy, the CEO and founder of The Repositioning Expert, welcoming you to another live Tuesday tea time with Chala. It's pretty late here, 4:30, and it is my protein. Look at how big this one is. Oh my gosh. Right before my live cast and then meditation and then a workout. So here is when not to use AI. 84% of, and this is according to a HubSpot State of Marketing report in 2025, 84% of marketers in companies expect AI made creators to replace actual human ones. So the AI generated content and the creators that are actually generating this content are going to take over because they're able to generate content 100 times more than humans. And these, content creators are actually making, I think I read, an average of $15,000 a month in, revenue just from fake AI created accounts and content. So B2B companies are now using these, and they're actively looking at firing the humans who are doing it, and hiring or just deploying AI software to be able to replace those humans. So this led me to think of what are the uses in marketing that you should not be using AI for. And I have covered this before because I've looked at AI. I've been looking at it very closely for the last couple of years and doing some trainings, delivering some trainings on it. And I've been using a lot of AI in my methodology in marketing. And one of the things that people hire me to do, of course, is to figure out their marketing strategy. So that's number one of the things that I don't think you should use AI for is your marketing strategy. So what is it that I mean when I say your marketing strategy is who your immediate best target is. So who is your super niched target, meaning what is the industry or interest group that you're going to target in order to grow your sales? And then the second is what one specific pain point of that industry are you going to be owning as the pain point that you're an expert in for your super niche, so that you can base your marketing and your sales strategies on owning the super niche and getting in the door with this hook messaging. So I've tried several strategy marketing, B2B marketing tools from AI that give you SWOT analyses, entire super niche analyses, statistics up the wazoo, geographical analyses, but none of it ever came close to developing a much, much more creative super niche that my clients and I have found that's possible through actual human conversations. And one of the other things that this, allowing AI to dictate your marketing strategy misses is along the way of figuring out these super niche strategies, my clients are actually closing sales while they're talking to the buyers that are in pain, but they're talking to them for informational interviews. They're talking to them to gain information and knowledge, while we are going to take that information and turn it into the super niche strategy. But what they're doing is they're actually getting hired. They're actually pitching themselves into the next meeting with actual decision makers. So that's some of the stuff that's being missed if you're deciding your whole strategy through AI. And there are lots and lots and lots of tools. I have used some of them. I have used some of them to start a base strategy analysis, or to start our work together when we have no idea who to target and what their pain points are. We use AI for the starting point all the time, but then we take it to the actual market and we take the pulse of the market through human conversations. And if you don't have the human conversations, you don't know what they're struggling with in that moment, specifically in that industry, and what is the one facet of the diamond of their entire pain that you need to focus on to make that your super niche, so that you can use it as a pain hook to get in. So the super niche, the target, and the facet of the pain are the sum of your marketing strategy. And it's the number one thing that I think AI should not be used to determine in your marketing. Number two is your presentation. Now, whether that's your elevator pitch in meeting them and introducing yourself initially, whether it's an actual sales presentation, whether it's a capabilities presentation. I don't think AI should be writing your presentations, because the most critical part of presentations are twofold. One is to connect with the audience so that they believe in you, so that there's trust, authenticity, vulnerability, and these all are built in with what I teach my clients, which is called the Phoenix Rising story. So, for example, one of my recent clients, when they used the Phoenix Rising story, they never even anticipated, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute, but they never even anticipated people broke out in the audience in applause. What a Phoenix Rising story is, the pain that they're positioning themselves to solve, and how that pain related to them in their own personal life, and how they started when, the Phoenix Rising is the low point of the story, and then what they did to catapult themselves higher in the story to gain the success, and then what the results were, and why they're here to teach it to us as an audience. So this is a presentation format that AI can't give you, because it's based on your personal history, your personal memories, your personal stories. So that's the first part that you need to build into your presentation, so that you are able to demonstrate the humanness and the connection. And all buying, as you know, is emotional. So when you're tapping into emotion, you already have the trust. And every research shows you that trust and emotion, when they're highly correlated to actual purchase decisions, you need to be building these into your presentation, whether it's a short presentation, a long presentation, or anywhere along the purchase journey. The other part of presentations that AI can't give you are actual client stories. You can build composite stories, but those would be putting together all of your, either years of history, decades of history of all the things that you have done and seen in what worked, what didn't work, what clients you were able to help with that same pain, but to conglomerate it all into whether real stories of clients that you could talk about, or composite stories of where you've put these together into as if it was a one big avatar story. So those stories AI can't tell for you, because it is, again, based on you, your personal experiences, and background in all of the pain points and the case studies that you've worked on. So that's number 2 of what AI can't do for you in your marketing. Number 3 is testimonials. You can write fake ones, but I always recommend that clients request testimonials when a success happens for a client, and that you give them, you hand feed them the content, and the content should be written by you. And testimonials should be written in the format of what the problem was before they met you, what you did to solve it, and then what the results were in terms of success, and as quantifiable as possible. And when you give your clients these handwritten testimonials, and you give them the option of changing or editing it, it's very easy for them to see how the journey went through with you, and you can agree with some of the points with them. But these are things that AI cannot generate, because you lived it with them, you're getting their agreement. And so if you get testimonials, reviews, and even in LinkedIn comments, you're using AI, it is not human generated, and it should be, because these are based on experiences. These are based on you, your memories, and your clients' memories. So especially when, in LinkedIn comments, these suggestions pop up, try to resist and add something to it. Maybe start with that, but add something else to it, because these are all going to be so overused by everyone that the actual personality, your personality, is not going to be coming through or recognized. So testimonials, reviews, and comments are really, really something that you should not use AI in your marketing for. Another one is crisis communication. When anything is so, first of all, volatile and has to be timely and can damage and is serious in nature and in risk, you cannot use AI by itself to drive crisis communication. Crisis communication is really done when something horrible has happened or is about to happen. It's done to apologize. These are all very human, emotional things. So anytime emotion is involved, please don't use AI in your marketing. Number 5, where you should not use AI in your marketing, is anything legally sensitive. When I used to work for Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, everything we did in marketing, every messaging had to go through our legal departments. So we could never use AI to just generate it without them checking. So you have to have pre-approved in those big companies, AI or not, generated content, but it can't be just generated by itself. It has to be legally approved. And definitely, if you're out there and you're saying giving legally sensitive information or advice or a stance that's legally permissible or not permissible, you are really taking a risk by using AI. How about culturally sensitive? Again, anything to do with emotions, humans, that can hurt humans, that can hurt businesses, that can hurt your brand equity. I really advise against using AI in culturally sensitive content. Culturally sensitive content is so prone to being misinterpreted and can go so wrong that there are just culturally based and specialized marketing agencies, content creators, and ad agencies just for culturally, and even there are culturally sensitive. One of my clients, we niched her into culturally sensitive language school because we found through the research that just straight translations or just straight language schools were failing these expats in foreign countries who had to work with foreign teams, and the foreign teams were getting very, very triggered by some of the wrong usage or some of the language or some of the cultural missteps by these expat bosses or by the bosses that were in other countries that did not understand the culture. So culturally sensitive is a huge topic, and it has been for a very long time. And that's why there have been very strict specialties in areas of communication that help. So AI by itself, without any checks or balances by these specialists, is really a powder keg waiting to explode. So don't do that. Number 7 is anything that's legal, financial, or health related that has to do with claims is very, very suspect, because again, you need the checks and balances by all these different compliance agencies or companies to help you. You can't just rely on AI to check itself. You are responsible for what you're generating. And lastly, when not to use AI in your marketing is your statistics. Boy, was I ever wrong when I kept using, I think it was at the time it was ChatGPT. Now I use Claude, but I kept writing articles and creating video content based on the stats that were generated by them. And now there's more sophisticated like Perplexity and Claude. I actually ask them to source some of the stats that they're quoting, and sometimes it can't. So you need to check the source. Other times, for example, Perplexity is a lot better at generating where it's taking the stat from, but you have to read it and quote it with respect to like clicking on what it's quoting, because it withdraws lots and lots and lots of different sources. So you have to identify which one it is if you're going to source it and quote it in your own content. Okay. So I love AI. Don't get me wrong. We all do. It makes our life easier as marketers, but there are definitely places where you should not be using it. So I hope this helps, and I wish you a good rest of the week. See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.